What's going on? Rob here. I was out at the lake trying to do some fishing, the lazy man fishing, not the active man fishing, but I did catch a video for you. This is how not to launch your boat for the first time in the season. Worst feeling ever. They had their boat idling at the dock. Then they went to take off and the motor died out when they already had pushed off. So now they're just sitting in the pond. If I were them, I would drop that trolling motor already and start moving, able to control the boat. They haven't dropped the trolling motor yet. They're just sitting there floating. Everybody keeps looking back at the motor. We'll see if it gets started. The one thing I would worry about constantly keeping your hand on the battery is you're going to die the battery out and not have enough juice for your trolling motor unless you got a secondary battery for your trolling motor. That's odd. Burning a lot of oil. And it hasn't started yet. They coast all the way that far. Oh. I would have dropped the trolling motor already and brought that sucker back. Definitely would have dropped the trolling motor and brought it back. Still trying to get the boat. They started it up a little bit, went further out, and then it died out further out. They started up, they should have brought their butt back in. So we'll see what happens with it. I drop anchor right there, make sure you got enough juice to get that trolling motor back in. Alright, now I'm switching. Oh man, I just hooked myself. Right now I'm switching to my Rebel topwater frog. I gotta reset at my other pole, so I'm gonna jig for a little bit. My topwater frog. They're out there still trying to set up the boat. They finally dropped the trolling motor. That's why I would have a long time ago. They might have actually ran out of juice because now they got the paddles and they're paddling it back in. If you can't get your motor started and get it running at the dock, do not go out on the water. Okay, well those guys left. They said they were just testing the boat, testing the motor. Well, my thing is when you're testing the boat or testing the motor, you don't try to get to the middle of the lake. And what they wound up doing was they wound up cranking that motor so much they drained the battery and they only had one battery. So they wound up having to they pull the paddle out to start paddling back in. But they cranked the battery so much they couldn't even get back in the trolley motor. So if your motor dies out close to the shore, you know what I normally do is I normally run my optimal temperature on the motor is about 140 degrees. So I run it till it gets up to optimal temperature, and when I leave the dock, I already got my trolling motor in the water. And if anything dies out or whatever, because that has happened to me before, exacting that happened to me, but man, it's like a regular car. You don't crank on that battery to drain the battery, especially if that's your only battery. A lot of people carry 2 batteries, so they wind up leaving, and hopefully they get their boat up and running, because it is nice, but you gotta have to have it up to par and everything. And if it's running like the way theirs was and they can't get it running at home, I'd take it to a shop, because you don't want to be stranded out on the lake. Okay, so what the guy actually on the the pier. I was just there and I had a topwater frog, and my topwater frog is a rebel, and they got a smaller frog than me, but they have one of those rubber frogs with the 2 hooks out the back, and that's what they hit the 2 bass on. I mean, back to back. And I was just right in the same location. It's just, I guess, what you're gonna tease the fish with. I've switched to my minnow jig right here because I really haven't caught anything. So I'm gonna be here about 15-20 more minutes and then I'm out of here. But I got a bad shoulder right now on my right shoulder, so I can't really cast too much because it drives me insane. But at least I got somebody catching the fish, and it was a nice sized bass he caught too. Finally, wasn't even shooting video and picked up this. What is this? I don't even know what this is. I hit this on my minnow jig, walked around a little bit, and hit it right here on a minnow jig.